Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new blast from the past video, and this time I want to share with you Warhammer 40k second edition. So this is all my material, not all my material, so all the rules I have, because I also have some codexes that are not here, and I will share it maybe in a different video, is in this box. This was the Dark Millennium, so in the second edition there were two boxes. The first box was the basic game, and the Dark Millennium was a supplement where they had war machines, war gear and cycle rules. So they were very basic war gear and war machines on the basic game, on the basic rulebook, and then there was this. So what you're going to see here is both, is the Dark Millennium and of course the game, the starter set from game Warhammer 40k second edition. So let me show you. Here you have a lot of things, and I will go one by one all the things that you have here. So let's go first with the books. You will see how Warhammer 40k have changed over the time. So first I will start with the rulebook. I have some books in Spanish and some books in English because I had a version in English and a version in Spanish of this. So and let's start with this. This was the rulebook. Okay, this was the Warhammer 40k rulebook. So the rulebook, here all the rules to play. It was about 96 pages, 100 pages. The weapon profiles were so different than today. The way to do damage to the vehicles was so much different. So, but you can see that some of the paint jobs, really not as many miniatures as we are used today to see on the pictures, not the same type of pictures, so really more basic ones, and everything was on black and white. These are the assembly instructions. There were three types of a Space Marine. The one with a ball gun or flamer here, but all the same, the missile launcher and the sergeant. And there were two types of orcs, the basic orc and the Gvechi. And that was all what you have. And you see all were monopose, so no possibility, all were the same. And there was a carton dreadnought, I will show you later on. So you see all was in not full color as today, black and white, and there were some rules. The illustrations were also quite different as today. You see were more like Rock Trader as well type of pictures. More, you see here some of the classic pictures. So I will not go through all the book, but you can see that there were not fluff in that book. So you see that it went directly from. There was very little fluffs, just introduction, but it was starting really straightforward on the rules. There were rules as well for vehicles. The vehicles were completely different. They had orientation. You have to turn them. They were quite complex rules. There were rules for buildings. There were the psionics that today are called the psychers. So what really on the hand-to-hand combat or the close combat was completely different. So really completely, and here we have, let's go to the color pages. You see 49 to 64, so you can see, let's see if I can find them. So here we have, these are what they call the color pages. So you have these illustrations. Okay, so you will find some very classic illustrations, and then you see this was the orcs that were coming in the basic rule set. You see the paint jobs were completely different. This was the inspiration for my Noise Marines. Okay, so you can see some really classic. This was the attack bike of that period, completely different than the one in today. And this was the battle wagon from the orcs. They don't do this anymore, so they don't put landscape pages anymore. So look, the Tyranids were much more goofy than today. Okay, you can see here the Tyranids, the Tyranid warriors, the Carnifex. So it was really more. The Space Wolf was one of the first factions to have a codex. Here we have the Plague Marines, very similar as we can see today. This was a Dark Angel, also quite similar to what we see today. Okay, this was a squat heavy bike. Okay. I have this miniature as well. This is a Space Marine captain. Look, this orc with this weapon. So really, it was. Yeah. Some you can see some, and this is the dreadnought. The dreadnoughts were very goofy. So you see, this is the dreadnought, and you see that there is square bases because there were not existing round bases at that period for big miniatures. So this was the Blood Angels dreadnought. This was the Chaos dreadnought. And this was the Tyrannid Carnifex. So what this is called here, Tyrannid Screamer Killer, that later on was called Carnifex, and then it evolved completely something different. These were all metal, really big blocks of metal. You see here the Tyrannic Warrior. This was the Land Speeder. This was the first version of the Land Speeder from Rock Trader period. That was it also arrived to the second edition. And Wall Eater. This was the basic Space Marines in plastic, all the same, no way to multipose them, and was impossible to convert because the arms were glued to the body. Okay, so you can see, I just wanted to spend you, and this was the Space Org of Brain Quatcher. And I don't know, I think this was a converted miniature. I think there was not kit for that. And this was the first Imperial Commissary rig. This was the first version. So you can see some very classical. I have this miniature, for example, here. I have some of these miniatures in my collection. Not too many, because I did not have money to collect too many of them. And as you can see, I have, I think, the War Eater. I would love to have this dreadnought, to be fair. But I have other plastic miniatures, and that's all. Okay. So this was the rule book, and then also coming from in the starter kit was coming what was called the Codex Imperialis. This was the explanation of the different armies. So this was what was coming on the basic book. Here we have some metal. You see the battles and the armies show here are pretty small compared to what we see today on the codexes. So this was the explanation of all the different factions. You see that we have the squads. They were starting with the Space Marines, Imperial Guard, and the Adeptus Astartes, and this was the Arbitres and the Judge. So the Adeptus Astartes were not the Space Marines at the beginning. They were a different faction. We have the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, where we have the Strikers. So let's go and you will see a little bit more. I think this is interesting. We have the much basic map of the galaxy, and we start with the Imperium. And then they talk here where is the Emperor, the High Lords of Terror, the Inquisition, the Adeptus Terra, the Adeptus Ministorum with the Adeptus Sororitas. So you see, and then we have the Inquisition with the Aurum Maleus, the Great Knights, and here we have the Adeptus Astartes, Space Marines chapters. So they were, but then we have Adeptus Terra, and then we have the Adeptus Arbitres. So it's quite, yeah, we still see some of the fluff that I have arrived today to us. We have here again the founding chapters, and of course the second and the 11th chapter have disappeared. We have all the primaries, so this was already existing. So, and then we see these were the profiles from second edition. You can see that there was a movement. Yeah, there was a movement on all the miniatures. All this is in inches, and we have the weapon and ballistic skill, the strength, toughness, wounds, initiative, attacks, and leadership. Okay. So we have here, these are the Space Marines. Then we have the Imperial Guard. Then in the Imperial Guard we have the Guardsmen, Roll Riders, Halflings, Ovis, all this in the Commissars, Planet Tubes. This is the defense, planet defense. Then we have the Great Knights. The Great Knights were really beasts in that period of time. And we have the Inquisition. Then we have the Adeptus Arbitres with the Judge. There was a Judge and the Arbitrators. They were Arbitrators. Okay. No Sisters of Silence at that moment of time. We have the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, we have the Psychers, and then we have all the different, how it's called. We have here the Adeptus Sororitas, and the profile for that. So it is the preacher, the confessor. So quite not as in depth as we what you see. We have the battle system, the champion, the hero, and the mighty hero, and they had not many wounds neither. Okay, the wounds were more like, okay, we see here. I will go a little bit more slow, and then we have all the what is the mechanicals, but it was mainly on the tech priest, and I didn't know that the lector priests were already there. The servitors, and then we have the assassin. Assassin was always there. Then we have the administrator. Okay, we go to the orcs, and we have the different. So we have the different orc clans, each one with their own type of way to do the war, and the orc armies was a soup of all the different orc clans. So we have the generic orcs, Vikings, Snorlings, the Ranthers, Pain Boys, Mechaniacs, Wade Boys. So what? So and then the Orc board boys. This was guys riding boars. The Storm Boys, Mad Boys. Okay. And then we have the Elder. The Avatar was already there. The miniature of the Avatar was from this period of time. So the metal miniature of the Avatar that is still used today, I think is one of the oldest miniatures in the range. Was existing already in this period of time with the metal, with a metal kit. We have here the Aspect Warriors, and then we have the Iron Avengers, Fire Dragons, the Banshees, the Scorpions, Shopping House, and the Reapers. Okay, we have the Guardians, the Warlocks, the Farseers, the Scouts, and we have the Exarchs and the Harlequins. Then we have the squads, okay, and you see here the squads, they were also different types. So there was the generic squads again with all the, and we had the Guild Master and the Ancestor Lords. Not too much, because in squads there was not too much. Then we have the Chaos. Okay, and then because we have the first day start with Norgal, and we have the Bloodthirster, and the Bloodletters, and the Fleshhounds, and the Juggernauts. Then we have the Keeper of Sacreds, the Demonettes, the Fiends of Slaanesh, and the Steeds of Slaanesh. The Great Unclean One, Narglings, Plaguebearers, and the Best of Norgal. And then we have from Thange, the Lord of Thange, the Flamers. The Disco Thange were demons that were you were able to use it alone, and the Horrors. And the Horrors were splitting. Then we have the Chaos Space Marines. We have the Champions, so you can have it from the different factions. We have the Chaos Cultists here. And you see all the different types of cultists, starting also having Psychers and all the type of things. We had Beastmen, and we have Chaos Hounds, so they had a lot of influence from fantasy. So, and then we had the Tyranids at the end, because there were no Taus and no Necrons on this book. So with Genestealers were the most popular Tyranids at the moment. Genestealer hybrids were part of the Tyranid army. We have the Genestealer Patriarch and the Genestealer Magus, and then there was not too much about the Tyranids that we know today. So there was the Tyranid Warriors and the Termagants, and the Carnifex. Here there was the Screamer we have seen today, and the Tyranid Hive type. As you can see from Tyranids there was not too much. It was mainly Genestealer cult, so it was a mixture of Genestealer cult. And you have seen that there were no points here, but with the basic book we had the points for all the armies here. Okay, so you have here, you can have here we have this is the army list. Sorry that this is in Spanish, but you have against the summary and the points for all the different units. So if you look, for example, the Space Marines, this was the list. It was for the Space Marines. Okay. So we have the commander, the standard bearer, the captain, the dog, the medical, how it's called now today, I forgot the name now, well, it doesn't matter. The chaplain, the tech marine, the librarian, then we have the sergeant. The veteran sergeant was a character, okay, this was character, so this was divided in characters, and then you can make a percentage of each part, in what is put at the beginning, okay. Your army can have up to 50% on characters, 25 to 100% on squads, so you don't need to put any character, and then you can use up to 50% on heavy support. This was the 3 parts. So the only restriction is that you cannot have more than 50% on heavy support, more than 50% on characters, and you need a minimum of 25% on squads. Okay, you will see that squads there was quite a big. Let's look just the Marines. That's the more popular ones. So there was, you see that the veteran sergeant was part of the characters, and then we have as squads. We have Terminators, Tactical Squad, Assault Squad, Devastators, Scouts, and that's all. So you can make an army only of Devastators if you wanted. Okay, you can make an army of 100% Devastators. You can make an army of 100% Terminators because they were all squads. And then what we have in heavy support, so in heavy support we have heavy support weapon, and then we had vehicles, okay? And the vehicles, you have to look at the card. I will show you later on how the card was looking like. Okay. Then we have also in heavy support, then we go to, and then here we have all the weapon cost points. Okay, here we have all this way. And this, and we were playing with that because when we started, there were no codexes for all the armies. They were only when I started was only codex. We only had codex for the Space Wolves and the Elder. So I was playing Chaos. I used a lot this book to play Chaos. Chaos was more to the end. I think Elder. Yeah, here was the Chaos. What I want to show in the Chaos, so in the characters we have the Space Marine Commander, the Hero, the Veteran, and then we have another veteran. So this was Veteran of Specialist of the Space Marines. This is the Veteran of the Noise Marines, and then we have the Magus of Chaos. So this was really just a Magus, not really. It was a character without armor. We have the Beastman Veteran, and then we have the leader of the cultists, the demagogues called today. But then the Chaos had a different division because they also had demons, okay? And I think on demons you were able to take a percentage of them. You were able to take half of your points on demons. So you see demons were there. So here we have so you can take up to 50% on characters. You have to take at least 25% on squads. So okay, so you were taking just 50% on squads, then you were taking 50% on demons, and the rest on characters. And you can also take allies, and the Chaos was able to be allied with orcs. Okay, so you see here you have the different table. And we had, at that moment in the squads, we have the Space Marines, okay, we have this was the squad of the Terminators, the Space Marines, the Noise Marines, and it was only the Noise Marines. You see that there was not Plague Marines, there were not Khorne, there were no Berserkers, there were not Thousand Sons, there were only the Noise Marines as a type of unit. We also have the Cultist, Beastman, and Chaos Hounds. Okay, then we have the vehicles as a heavy support, and we have demons. And here we have all the different demons, and you have the points for all the different demons. So you take a Bloodthirster, Bloodlighter, Flesh Hound. So you have all the different demons here, and then you have the equipment. Okay, so this was how you were making the army. It was quite different as today. You see that we finish in the days of we had the Genestealer cult, or the Genestealers, and we have the Tyrants. They were separated, but note units. So yeah, and I think they were able to mix. So we never played units at that period of time. Okay. Then on the Dark Millennium we had two things. Okay. I think we had this book on Dark Millennium. Okay, so this is another book that was coming. Here we go fast, and you will see that there is templates for us. Well, it was more focused on the psychers and to have equipment and more vehicle data cards. So you see here how it was looking like. Okay, some miniatures, and there were a lot of rules, and I will go fast here as well because I don't think it would make sense to go in detail on the different on what you see. We had more special rules and new. So they were talking about the cycles, and there was more talking about the Green Knights, of course it was a cycle, and there was, but you can see that there was not too many fluff. And here we see, this is interesting, at the end of each book we had this type of metal things, of this type of catalog, where you can see how the miniatures were looking like. And I spent a lot of time looking at this black and white, unpainted catalog of miniatures. Okay. Let's see here. This was the Land Rider, and these were the Rhino and the Predator. Okay. And here we have the first Metal Dreadnought, very similar to the Dreadnought we have today. The Dreadnought really, when they launched this version, it remains quite untouched. Okay, and here we have the Squad, and we have and this is an Harlequin. Okay. One here we have this was on the basic rulebook. So here we have how all the different weapons were working, and they were very detailed. Each weapon was really had their own rules. You see, just for the chainsaw, you were able to parry. It was quite a complex way to play. So you have all the different weapons description and how all the different weapons work. All again, there was no color here. Or black and white, so just take the chainsaw, you see, and the weapons had, as today, short and long range. So if there was a bonus to hit, the strength, the damage, the modifier to save, and this is very similar to the AP. The armor penetration, this was for vehicles, because the vehicles had a different way to work. So we had, I will not go into detail, but you had all the description, so you see how this was looking like. Okay, I don't go through all of that. And we had some here. This was the fluff of the page. So just short histories, couple of pages, 3-4 pages maximum of fluff and explanation and background, but not too much background in that period of time. They were going straight forward to the rules, and there were a lot of rules, which you can see here. Okay, look. This was the third gun. Okay, look, the many rules it had. So it was really, sometimes was really complex to remember all these different rules. Okay, there were the grenades, how to use it, and so on. So this was all the books. Okay, then I want to show you a couple of things. So there were also missions, and the missions were random, and you were choosing this type of cards, where you have the primary objective and the secondary objective, and was giving points. So how you win the battle was by killing points for killing enemies, and then you have some bonus depending if you were accomplishing the missions. And there were different missions. There was a down war, the guerrilla war. This is Spanish still, but this is the English version. Taking hold. So and they were for one team and the other team. Okay, I have different. So there was witch hunt. So there were missions. And this is what I was talking. Let me just go back to the box. The vehicles had orientation, and they had to turn. So when you were turning the vehicle, you were putting like that, and then you were turning the vehicle. Okay, so this was how you were putting next to the vehicle like that. Okay, this is the vehicle advancing. Okay, you were putting this like that, and then the vehicle was able to do one turn like that. Okay. So the rules were much complex. Another curiosity I want to show you is where all the templates we had in this period of time. were the heavy flamer, for example. We had the heavy flamer, we had the flamer. So you see, we had the 3 flamer sizes. We have explosions of different types. The big template, the small template. There was a very small template somewhere. Okay, we have different template sizes. Okay. The Eldritch Storm, the other powers, so there were different powers, all colors. This was nice. The Foot of Gork, more, and they were half fun template. I think this was because this was moving like that. Okay, you had different templates. So there was another. Okay, this was even different thickness. You see, it's not exactly the same template. This was the Executioner power of the Elder. Then we have the Blast of Norgal from the other side. This was one of the guns, and here it was disassembled. Some guns were exploding like that. So really detailed templates in some cases. Okay. This was the Dreadnought coming in the box. Okay, and you have here. So in the starter box, when you were playing the Orcs, you were playing with this Dreadnought from the box. You can see there were not only carton terrain, there were also carton vehicles. Now I'm going to show you, I'm just looking for a vehicle that everybody knows. Let's take the Predator. It's quite a common vehicle and everybody will know. We'll have an idea how a Predator looks like today. So this was the profile of a Predator, okay? First of all, they had a, let's see if I can find one in English, it's going to be easier. Okay, Land Rider. Sorry for that, but I prefer to put one in English. So we have the RAM value, we have the movement, we have the weapons, we have the transport capacity, and we have the crew. And you were able to kill the crew in that period of time, depending on the vehicle. But the other interesting thing is that you have facing. So you have the front armor and the side and rear. And then you have the track, the hull and the last cannon. So when you were shooting to a vehicle, first you were checking randomly which part of the vehicle you were touching. Okay? If you were touching the track, you go here, and if it's from the front or from the rear, you had a different armor value, especially the hull. The most time of the time, you see, hull was 50% of the possibilities. You were touching the hull, then you check the armor. And if you penetrate the armor that you have here, then you were checking what is the type of damage that you were doing. So the highest, the better. So if you were taking, for example, if you touching the front and you roll a 1, the twin heavy bolter mounted off the hull are destroyed and may not longer be used. Okay, but if you roll a 6, the Land Rider's ammunition explodes. The Land Rider is destroyed, and any model within 3 inches suffer D6 strength 10 hits and -3 say in the saving. So it was really devastating. So you have and I think a 6 here, the last cannon is destroyed as above, okay? But the explosion causes a flashback to the hull, causing a secondary explosion there. Roll on the hull, so if you were rolling a 6 was not destroyed, then you were rolling again here on the hull to see if you were able to destroy it or not. Maybe you were doing that and destroying here. So it was quite, the vehicles were very personalized, and this was making very difficult the rules of vehicles. Each one were playing, so we have also, for example, the Land Speeder, okay, just as a comparison of armor. So Land Speeder only have 2 options. You can shoot the crew or you can shoot to the Land Speeder. And if you were shooting to the crew, it's like killing a marine. So was this, the open top vehicles where the crew was very exposed and was very easy to kill. So you were able to kill it with a bolter, just killing the guy on top. Of course, the 6 was also destroying this one. And the armor, you can see, this is armor 10 and 12. It's curious that the side is heavier than the side, and the side is heavier than the front, while this is 22, so this was really difficult to penetrate. Let's take just as also a comparison. You see that at that period of time, the land rider and the predator were not that different. So the orugas is the tracks. You see the tracks was a little bit less, the hull was a little bit less. These are the sponson on the side, and this is equivalent to the last count, and then you have the turret. Okay. And they had the points somewhere here. I don't remember where were the points. The points were here. Okay, of each vehicle. This was another thing, and then another thing I want to talk. We had also stratagems. So the stratagems are not new from this edition. We had stratagems that they were randomly taken, and you were able to do one of these actions during the turn. So this was random, taken during the game, and then the war gear, the special war gear, or the relics, were in this type of cards. Okay, this was a war gear card. So you hear the English version. Okay, and then you have each war gear card can be generic or can be dedicated to one guy. So we have, for example, here the combat drugs or the stasis grenade. That's where one use. We have, of course, the highway grenade as well. But for example, this was only Elder. It was the Witchblade. So we have different. We have this one was really a heavy one. This was the Vortex grenade. You were throwing this grenade. You were putting this template. Anything touched by this template was automatically destroyed. But it was costing 50 points. Okay, one use, of course, and this maybe was keeping on game, and then was moving around, and everything touched each time by the vortex was destroyed. For example, for Elder only, we have the fire pike, or we have the frost fang for the Space Wolf. So there were several equipment. We have even the war jump was a special equipment. Okay, we have power field. This was quite heavy one. 2+ invulnerable save. The Aegis suite to give protection against psychers. Okay, so we have also from orcs the custom blaster. So just and you can see there was a lot of cards of equipment. Okay, this was the cards, and some of them were quite strong, and people end up using almost the same all the time. Okay, I go fast that, and then we had another thing. We had also war gear for vehicles. Okay, this was vehicle war gear that was coming in the Dark Millennium. What else I want to show you, and I'm finalizing. We had as well the psychic powers. Okay, we had the psychic powers of different gods, and they were in that period of time they were extremely devastating psychic powers. So they were really extremely devastating. Stench was super strong. Nargel was super strong. We have the Adeptus psychic power. These were the generic ones and the ones from the Imperium. We have the Librarian that were for the Space Marines. We have a Slaanesh. This was our vehicle, so the cars are a little bit mixed now. When we have Orc psychic powers, Elder, okay, Inquisition psychic powers. They were super strong, the Inquisition psychic powers. This was very strong, the Holocaust. Then we had, it's not here, there was the Fortitude, Aura of Fortitude, Aura of Fire, Scourging, Storm of Wrath, and then we had this one that was the key, Vortex. So you were able to throw this thing as a psychic power. Anything touched by the Vortex was automatically killed. This was coming out of the Psyker, going like that. Anything in the path destroyed automatically, no save of any kind at all. So this was Warhammer 2nd edition. For me was a character hammer. Really, the characters were the ones taking the lead. You were trying to use your units to kill the enemy characters as fast as possible before they were destroying you. But once the characters were next to the close combat or next to you, they were killing everything. So yeah, this is what I want to show you, a little bit of Blast of the Past. Sorry if the video was a little bit long, but there was a lot of material. And just to finalize, that was the Dreadnought of the period. Of course, we have the rules of the Dreadnought at the back of the card. Okay, clap. And yeah, I think you were able to shoot to the legs, left arm, right arm, and the body. Okay, we have the English version. Okay, so quite curious thing. This was the template I was looking for. So here we have 4 different sizes of templates. Okay, so that's all. I hope you find this interesting. I hope it was something that you like it to watch. It's a little bit of Blast from the Past, Warhammer 2nd edition. This was my starting point. I really enjoyed. It looks maybe too unbalanced today. I will say if people will have the game today, will say that it's completely unbalanced game, complex like hell, very difficult to play. That was really difficult to play. The close combat. If you have played Shadow War Armageddon, yeah, it's a simplification. The close combat was even more, was the same rules, but there were so many weapons, and the units were so big in 40k at the end that was really long to do the close combat. If you want to have a flavor of how were the rules of 2nd edition play Shadow War Armageddon, the rules are based on this edition. Really based. It's almost a copy paste to say the way. Just last thing. All the tokens, I will not take them out. These were all the tokens to remember all what happened. When you were shooting someone with a flame, the flame maybe can be there. So, what's the stick? The weapons were can be jam as well in Warhammer 2nd edition. So you have jam counters. You have Overwatch. You were able to put your units in Overwatch. So if you were not moving and you were not shooting, you were able to put your units on Overwatch. When the enemy was moving, you were able to shoot in the enemy face. This was the gate. So you were putting gates, dimensional gates on the battlefield, and you were able to transport units from one gate to the other. You were putting 2 of these gates on the battlefield. So a lot of special rules, a lot of different. I was using this a lot, to be fair. Everybody was using this a lot. It was a way to move. So a lot of things, a lot of counters. Flamers, again, if you were hit by a flamer, the flames were staying on you, or there was rolls to see if the flames were extinguished or not, and you have to carry over this turn over turn. So I hope you have liked that. Please leave in the comment below if you like these videos, a blast from the past. Okay, and yeah, give in the comments as well. This was how you were using the secret phase was completely complex, and you were taking these cards at the beginning of the secret phase. I don't remember how many, I need to read. And then there were different effects. Most of them were just force. Okay, then you have the ultimate force. You were throwing them at unstoppable. You were able to nullify them. You were able to reflect them to the enemy. You were able to do an energy drain, no secret phase. But the enemy can also put the destroy power, or were able also to make a demonic attack to you. So really, all the phases were quite complex. You were able to do as psychic duel. So was really a complex game at the point of time. So that's all. I hope you find this interesting. Leave in the comments below. And if you like more Blast from the Past, I have the Warhammer Fantasy from this period of time if you want to see how it was looking like. I have the Blood Bowl from this period. I have also the old Necromunda somewhere. So if you like to see how the old games were looking like, or you would like to see some old miniatures, just leave it in the comments below. That's all for now. A little bit long, but I think was interesting. That's all for now. As usual, thanks a lot for watching and see you again later. Bye.